E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation. Happy 2025. We are recording this episode. It's still 2024, but by the time you listen to it, hopefully it'll already be 2025 and you guys are all looking towards your goals for the year. Before we jump into the episode where Josh and I will just be doing a quick overview of 2024 and how things went for our business, sharing some wins, some challenges, and some lessons from the losses. I wanted to quickly plug the sponsor of today's podcast, which is SellerSnap. As you know, that is our repricer of choice. Their AI repricing model helps prevent tanking on listings. It helps keep you in the buy box longer, finds the optimal price so that way you can get as much buy box and sales at a good price as possible. There is a discount code and a link for you in the description below, so you can click on that and that will get you 10% off your first 3 months as well as a 15-day free trial. So check them out if you haven't already. And transitioning into the episode, Dr. D, let's start off with a review just of our overall numbers, how we performed, maybe also talk about, I guess, our goals going into the year, how we either hit or didn't hit those, and what our wins were.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So our goal was to hit around 1.2 to 1.5 in terms of revenue. However, drum roll, please. We only hit 800K of revenue with around about 80 to 120K of gross profit, which that is before payroll. So, obviously we didn't hit our goals. However, that's not always a bad thing. Again, I think we're running a little bit higher on our gross profit than normal wholesalers would, which is usually around like 7 to like 11% if they're doing wholesale. So that allows us to be a little bit more free with our cash flow and do a little bit more things, which is good, especially because we like working with brands. So ultimately, we did 26K from Walmart, 13K from eBay, and the rest, which is around 762, was from Amazon. So we have also diversified what platforms we have been selling on this year. Walmart was mostly just to liquidate products that we could not sell, and eBay was mostly returns, which we received at my mother's garage and we did ourselves. Some other wins that we have in our win column is our best brand that we've worked with for almost a year now.
About 3/4 of a year,
yeah. Well, that has allowed us to list 3 additional products, which has increased the size of our business. And we did not ask for these products because we did not know they existed. He merely just offered and helped us out, and we kind of helped him out. A lot of the things that he was looking for was potentially listing creation. 2 of the products that we're going to put on, or that we did put on, were other forms of supplements from his company that were not on eBay. That were not on Amazon. So we listed them, and I wouldn't say they were a massive success, but they were good to get on the platform because we know that there was some organic search volume there. So that was great. I want you to talk, Kaj, about, we updated a listing that he wanted us to fix, and we updated it, and then we tweaked it like the last minute, and it went from 0 to pretty good. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so long story short is we updated the images for the listing. And the hero image, or the main image, we added some more text onto the packaging, just kind of text that would be relevant to the most generic high search volume keyword for that product. And in looking back on it, I realized the day we submitted it, the day after that, the category for the product changed. It went from health and household to grocery and gourmet. And not only did the category change, and I'm assuming that's because the Amazon algorithm recognized the the text on that image, it also, the sales just doubled overnight. And actually, I think more than doubled. I believe we were averaging between 3 to 5 units of this product a day. And then the next day we were selling like 20 units a day. And I was not expecting the change to have that kind of impact. I remember messaging you and I was like, I think someone might be scamming us, because we were just getting so many sales of the product compared to what we normally were. And as of right now, the listing has maintained that velocity. We actually ended up running out of stock because we weren't expecting that. But the sales rank has stayed and the Keepa estimated sales has stayed. So that was really cool. And obviously we did more than just the hero image. We did some other stuff too, but seeing that sort of increase in velocity on a listing just from some simple changes was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, and I wanted to reiterate, Kash, those words or that keyword that you put on the packaging was not technically on the packaging, right? That is just something that we kind of like, well, I guess you would call it a Photoshop in, but is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. And so that's kind of, I don't even know if you can call that gray hat on Amazon, because really everyone does it and Amazon doesn't really care. It's like within terms, you're not going to get in trouble with terms of service for that, because Amazon wants the main image to pretty much just be the product. But now you even see, people adding on, like if it's a product that has a flavor, like let's say it's a watermelon flavor product, you see people adding a little image of the watermelon and other stuff around it. So Amazon's kind of letting sellers be a little bit more creative with that. But one way to get more text into the image is by just adding it onto the packaging. And who's to say that if you add it on the image that you didn't, or you couldn't actually add it in on the physical packaging too?
Yeah, 100%. Because like when you showed me, like we added this, I was like, that wasn't on there before. Like it just looked so natural that it should have been on there, that it just made so much sense and really helped improve the lot, which was awesome. So great work there. Another thing that I want to go over was our best product from a personal brand, or or using the brand direct model. So overall, the numbers on that was 120,000 in revenue, with 18.4 thousand in profit, a 1% return rate.
What return rate? I just want to hear that one more time.
1% return rate. Unbelievable. And its average BSR for the category that it's in is around that like 60K to like 80K range. So again, not an insane product that is like, that jumps out at you. That's going to be selling a ton amount. But it just goes to show you that, one product can really change your balance sheet. So that's really cool. All right, Kaj. So take us through some challenges here.
Yeah. So this is a business that we know there are always going to be challenges. We talk a lot about brand direct, so I'll start there. I think the biggest challenge in regards to brand direct for us this year was not anticipating how long it can take to really fully onboard a brand and have their products be selling well for you. So with this particular brand that we were talking about, the one product that you were just sharing stats on, I started reaching out to them in earnest. It was either the end of last year or like January of this year.
I think it was January.
When I really started having like the back and forth phone conversations and had my foot in the door, and they were actually open to the idea of working with us, because obviously they've, had other Amazon sellers also reach out. And so from the time like when we really started having those conversations to when we started selling the product consistently and were able to lock down the supply chain and being the only seller, it was almost 4 months. Where in my head it would have been like 1 to 2. And it's been the same. We've had some other brands too, where we've had some good conversations, and we thought that the brand was going to take off because it already has good velocity, and that, they're saying they want to work exclusively or semi-exclusively with us, but then that just didn't pan out. Like there's one brand we've been talking to for 6 months, and
6 months.
At this point, we're probably just going to move on from working with them. But that's one thing. So when you're reaching out to brands, and it's not always going to be like that, right? There are some brands, where you can just buy and sell right away. But for the ones where you're going to build that exclusive relationship, sometimes it can take a little bit longer. So that was definitely a challenge for sure.
Yeah, I remember talking with Colin at the Seller Central Miami. That the conference that we did. I was like, oh man, dude, we're ready to go. Like, it's February. Like, we'll probably get the product in within like the next like 2 to 4 weeks
Yeah.
after we finished these things, and it was like April, May, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I was like, that's brutal. So
And it wasn't even that we didn't have the product in. It was just we weren't exclusive yet. Well, we
Right.
had
And it's like
exclusivity, but it was just kind of getting rid of everybody else.
yeah, we were waiting for everybody else to sell out, so we weren't trying to win a ton of buy-in.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. So sales were just slow.
yeah, talk us a little bit about like maybe moving forward, what we're thinking about in terms of potentially like when you go talk to someone for like 6 months, like like is there any now more information in your mind being like, this might not work, I might not push so hard now for like some individuals and all that kind of stuff? Are you like picking up on anything there in terms of like stuff that we need to kind of move forward with the brand
Definitely. Yeah.
in terms of time?
Yeah. Well, good question. So obviously there's the Amazon side of things, which, we've talked about, like what you want to look for in the brand itself and the products itself. So for this particular one that I'm referencing, like all of the Amazon side of stuff is checked off. What's not checked off is how the brand owner works. And
Yeah.
not to like take shots at him, but the communication is not good, says one thing, does another thing. And the line of communication is just not consistent. And so that just obviously you can't have a partnership with that. And it could be something where, down the line, maybe he's in a different position. Things have slowed down on his end. He's obviously a very busy guy, so he's just got a lot going on, right? But he's just not in a position to have a partnership with someone to work with on Amazon. And it's also not a priority for him. So the other thing that we'll be looking for as we continue to have these conversations with brand owners is like, okay, are you actually going to work with us? And is Amazon a priority for you? Because if you're not going to work with us, I can't do anything for you. So there needs to be that kind of two-way relationship happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Back to our lessons. Lessons from L's that we have taken over the past year. I will start us off with the air fryer debacle.
Yeah, this one, how is this the fourth time we're talking about this now? If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't heard about it.
It was brutal for us to start the year with a nice juicy L that took a really hit on our cash flow that we had built up pretty much the entire year. So coming back from that is always feels good that we have dug ourselves out of the hole, and now we are even in a better spot. It even makes me more excited for next year, because I know that we don't have this hanging over our heads like we did last year. So, what other L's have we taken, Kaj, besides, selling air fryers?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say that was an L we took this year. It's just a lagging L from 2020.
Yeah, a lagging
L. So definitely not overextending ourselves in terms of our buys, right? Which we learned from that. The other one is just focus, right? There's so many different opportunities right now. Obviously, TikTok's been blowing up, and I've talked about, doing stuff on TikTok. Have kind of slowed down there just because as I've learned more about things, right? It's always, and I was kind of expecting this to happen. It's like you think the grass is greener on the other side until you get to the other side and you realize all the problems that come along with it. And not to say that it isn't a good business model, but it's just like you can only do so many things really well at once. And so I think spreading myself a little bit too thin, especially the last like 2 to 3 months, that's definitely something that will be dialed back moving into 2025. Just focusing on the main thing. The nice thing is that now we kind of have the back end built up for TikTok. So if there is something that's the right timing, the right brand, the right person, we could probably scale it up really quickly. But again, I would look at that as like a side project, not a main project. It's still, we got to get Amazon to where it is. But
yeah, absolutely.
The flip side of that is, again, like we have TikTok. Obviously we have Walmart and eBay, which are already we have a good system for that. And the important thing for us is just having and being able to be multi-channel. So that way, obviously things can happen, praying, and Lord, please forbid that nothing happens to our Amazon account. But, sometimes things do happen. Yeah. So just being able to have those other channels does help have a little bit more peace of mind.
Yeah, 100%. And the other one we got gated out on a big brand during Q4 that we put a lot of money into as well. and that'll happen from time to time. But understanding, and again, we are preparing for 2025. We are going to assume all these big, gates are going to happen again around the same time.
Yep.
So
It's
we will
happened 2
be
years in a
very
row.
Exactly. Third time's probably going to be the charm, and it's probably going to happen.
Yep.
So we're probably going to slim down on some of our inventory leading up into Q4 to make sure we are safe to send it into November and December. So that's just another big mistake. Again, I've gotten sidetracked into crypto for, I would say, mostly good reasons.
Probably.
But again, it's always another time suck that I have as well. Yeah, definitely some lessons learned. And honestly, just so excited for next year. I couldn't be more pumped.
Yeah.
I love where we're at.
Yes.
So I'm super excited.
Very, very excited. Yep. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode here. Josh, you can land the plane. But then, just so you know, our next episode, we will talk about our plans and goals for 2025.
Absolutely. And if you guys found value from this episode, give it a like and subscribe to Ecom Unlimited so you can stay updated on all of our new content. We will see you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.